Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Green Factor, a show where we talk about green design and the business of sustainability. I'm Haris, the Green Carpenter, and today we'll be talking about making change through community. With me today, we have my good friend Yasmin Rasyid on the show. Yasmin, we've known each other for quite some time
It's
because
been a
we
while.
do we do a lot of activism together as well. But for the benefit of the viewers that don't know you, I would appreciate if you could introduce little bit about yourself and your green journey and what currently you are doing.
Okay, thanks, Haris. Thanks for having me in this show. So I'm Yasmin Rasyid, and I think I people know me as someone that is, I guess, doing quite a bit for the environment. But today we call it sustainability. It's a buzzword. I come from Ipoh, a very small town up north, and just had the privilege to explore education up to a level where I would say, found my passion in environmentalism or sustainability. Career-wise, I've done almost the whole spectrum, but I'm pretty sure I missed out some here and there. I came from the nonprofit sector. I've also founded and started a nonprofit called Econites. That was in 2005. And over the last 10, 15 years, I've pivoted from working with the corporate, being an entrepreneur myself, as well as working for a government linked GLC as well. In short, my area of expertise would be in sustainability and I guess more on, to a certain extent, activism and also pushing for better environment, social, and governance structures in businesses. I hope that is good enough, Harris.
Good for the intro. We'll go in deeper a bit later. So I know Yasmin through our activism work. She's very active in the activism space, and she works a lot with communities. She also founded her own community called Econites, and I think I would want to touch a bit more about Econites and why do you choose to create a community and like what is the story behind it?
It started when I was very young, working in WWF. Um, I was a scientific officer then. My task is really just collecting samples, analyzing, a lot of reporting, some policy advocacy. And then there was one day, education officer came into the office and said, someone fell sick. There's a bunch of school kids waiting to hear some environmental stories from WWF, and we need you to step in. So lo and behold, I was like, oh, this would be great. This would be perfect for me to share what I do. And I thought it'd be good to open up the eyes of young kids to look at what, a biology graduate and someone that's passionate about environment, can actually kickstart a career or be employed lah. So I was like, how bad can it be, right? Going to talk to a bunch of 10-year-olds. I think that's when a lot of things changed. When I walked into a room, I was bringing all these stories about the great work I was doing with rivers. And then I asked a I thought it was an important question. And I thought it was a question that everyone would respond well. I just asked, siapa suka pergi sungai ataupun mandi sungai? And no one raised their hands. And then I realized I was actually doing all this environmental work. And the very next generation that's supposed to be the custodian and guardians of what I'm trying to protect have no clue and no awareness about rivers, the function of rivers. In fact, not even interested to go in. So I think that was the time where I started exploring, lah, what does it take to build a generation of people who care more for the environment and could do more. And to cut the story short, I started Econites. And at that time, I started Econites mainly to target kids. That was in 2005. I had a 3-year-old then, Mia. Mia was really young, and I wanted to do something fun that would benefit her at the same time, also benefit other children. So Econite started in 2005, mainly to just do a lot of awareness and education activities for children. But what happened was unintentionally, children came with parents. And I think that's when things grew, when parents took certain interest in the work that we do and then continued to support the work that we have now. And of course, the children that we used to educate 15 years ago are now a lot older. And we're quite lucky that we still actually have the opportunity to see, hear, and meet these young kids that were part of our program. So I think that was the starting point of how the community came and where we are today.
So, of course, initially it started off with kids, right? But now it has evolved, and even some of those kids becomes Econites as well.
Yes.
So what is currently now? It is evolving into what kind of content or what kind of activism or direction that you guys are moving towards?
So my daughter is 19. The kind of content we're doing right now is very youth driven. A lot of climate action, youth leadership development, soft skills. I think we're in right now focusing on a lot of beefing up young Malaysians to be the next sustainability champion and leader, no matter what field they're in. So over time, we evolved from running nature camps to working with corporates to train more young people. I think one of the things that I'm really proud of Econites is also our internship and volunteering program, which you have rightfully said. Through that, not only did we get kids joining us later, becoming volunteers and interns, I think half of the Econites right now are probably employed through that pathway. That's why you never see any vacancies.
Mm. Oh, okay. You have the funnel, different funnel, back door.
It's a different funnel, and we treat everyone like family. We treat everyone like a big family, and we support them in more ways than just creating employment for them and growing their career. Because I always tell my team, the day Econites doesn't have a reason to exist is the day we've done a good job.
Correct, 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 correct,
You
correct.
know, so when people say you're gonna drive your organization to obsolete, right? I'm like, yeah, in my utopia, in my perfect world, everyone is responsible to the environment, and civil society organizations can do other stuff that and not be burdened to be only the ones that's driving this. Another part of work that we're doing a lot now is policy advocacy. I think after 15 years, we may have gotten on some government radar, and I think our views now are being sought after. So I like to take that as an achievement and accomplishment from the team, especially when the team is so young. I think the eldest is probably 35. So to a certain extent, Equinites today is very much youth led, if you think of it that way. And we do, of course, with the pandemic, we just pivoted to the entire digital world. And
And then
it's,
because they're young, so it's fast for them to adapt all this, right? To pivot, right?
yeah, super fast. And that's another reason why I stepped down as well. I felt I was just getting too old. And and maybe my ideas don't jive, doesn't make sense because I'm old school like that, right? And I recognize that. And I thought, I mean, it was painful, you give birth to something, you have to give it away, right? That's how I felt, a bit dramatic, but it had to be done. It had to be done. I had to let go, and I had to put a lot of trust, faith, and confidence in this team to drive it to the next level.
So in a way, by having a community that serves a purpose, like in your case, sustainability, it helps with making that change. Because right now as well, people ask you question. You are being seen as a thought leader, and those kind of things that happen because you have a community, not because you own a business, right? So right now today is about like community. How can because we only see people that needs to do um, all this thing, social thing, it's going to be one government, second NGO. But now the thing is social enterprise are getting the burden. But we also forget that there's a lot of communities, and communities can make change, whether it's like in Econites case, it's purely focusing on sustainability. Sometimes other communities that don't primarily see sustainability as the main one, but they can also vouch for causes and all that. So
Yes.
when we talk about community, like how do you build that community? Right now, what's the current number of the members? Do you keep track?
Employees.
No, community.
I don't keep track, but if anyone would like to know what is our reach on an annual basis, you can always download our impact report. So we actually capture the impact or the scale of impact or reach that we deliver every year. So perhaps the last 2 years a bit lower than the previous years. Yeah,
So
that's how we track
so how
who.
do you grow that traction, or that movement through the work that you do? Because it
Mm,
started from nothing, and
yeah.
then it's something. So what are the process? Because we have a lot of communities being built, a lot of social enterprise, but not a lot of them survive after a while. So like, how do you see Econites, for example? It's right now it's being run by the considered second generation, right? So how do that happen, the growing part and like maintaining for that long?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of dimensions to how we grew from how we started to where we are. I think the first, like, this is my way, would be to know who your network and stakeholders are. If you don't know, to really identify who these individuals or companies or whatever that are critical to giving you knowledge, that are critical to, I guess, sharing with you what the industry or the sector is. In this case, what I'm referring to is the nonprofit sector. But I was lucky because I came there. I was employed. From there, I was already observing. I think when I think back, right, I think the early days of Econites, the formation of Econites already happened years earlier, when I was already working in a nonprofit. I was observing how nonprofits operate. I was observing what are the key challenges for a nonprofit. I was also observing tactical approaches used to advance a specific cause. I was observing how fundraising was done, how communication was done. And all this was being, processed in my head. And when Econites came, intuitively, I could pull this kind of knowledge. Of course, nothing is perfect when you set. I always go by the 80-20 rule. If it's 80% ready, roll with it. You deal with that 20% uncertainty along the way. Um, Take some risk, lah, take some risk in believing in your vision sometimes. I think that helps. When I started Econites, it was at a dining table with family and friends. And that's when the logo was designed. And I mean, I had that support from everyone in the room, but I knew reality is I had to be a driver. I had to be the one to make that first step. I had to be the one that falls first before anyone understands what Econites is and what we do. And I guess I was naive, or maybe just wearing my heart on my sleeve, but I went for it. I had very clear vision of what I wanted to do. The second thing is probably picking up things that you're not comfortable to pick up or you never thought you'll pick up. One of the areas which till today I'm still trying to master is financial management of the organization. And Econites, when we started, we were like the NGO business model operating, very reliant on donation, very reliant on fundraising. And I saw how certain years when there's not enough funds, we had to compromise with our projects. And for me, that really interrupted the flow of some of these projects that were really, really doing good. And I think that was when I stumbled upon what today we call a social business model. For me, it has always, I didn't have a name for it, but I knew if we made profit at any particular year, it was going to go back to the organization to either grow the people, grow the programs, or grow the resources of the organization. It just made perfect sense that that business model was probably the most viable model that can keep Econites afloat. I was not going to let go of anyone. In fact, I just want more people coming in and out of the organization, being trained, being exposed to what we do, and then let them go out there and seize the day and seize the world and do what you do best as a leader in sustainability. So I think these two things were critical for me, that really drove me to take that step. Some would say jump off the cliff. Yeah, sometimes it did feel like I jumped off the cliff. Yeah, I stand back
But
up.
you have the parachute. You have parachute with your
Yeah,
preparation, right? The
glided.
preparation. Yeah. So I think a lot of people think that they can just start something without preparation. Like, okay, I want to do something, and then I can do tomorrow. Of course, certain things you can do, but for a bigger things, like even in term of my case, when we want to venture into sustainability, it's like that is 9 years ago. At that time, I feel like there's a lot of injustice in the industry, even though we have one of the best wood industry in the world, but there's a lot of waste being created. We don't really care where our material comes from. So there's a lot of this thing that I feel like, oh no, I'm contributing to this. Even 2012, our deforestation rate was one of the highest in the world at that time, and I was like devastated because my industry is directly related. So when I switched, I think like, okay, I want to move it into a sustainable, but I don't know anything about green furniture and thing. I just know that I want. And then when I do a lot of research, so much research and preparation until, oh, I just do it. So I do it. I start with recycle wood and all that. And as now we're doing for 9 years, if we don't take the jump on the first, it's like it's just gonna be like angan-angan, right?
Yes, and then 9 years passes very fast, and I think, despite all these challenges, Harris, you've achieved quite so much, rather than just sitting and thinking about it, right? You just
Correct.
bored, you then did it, and lo and behold, And I think that's one thing to highlight as well. I mean, you can't just get everything right the first time and then you want to run with it. I think there are some things you can do it that way, but life is not like that.
Correct. Correct.
Life doesn't make make all the stars and moon appear and align for you.
Life is unfair to all, so it's fair lah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to touch a little bit about people because, like, when we talk about
Mhm.
business or community, these are all people element. Even like in a high tech company or fully machineries, there are still people operating behind it. So, like,
Mhm.
how do you like a movement, for example? You need a lot of people that buy into that, right? So that people skill or leading this group of people, how does it like how do you attract the right people that align with your culture and your belief? Because you're going to meet a lot of people and their motivation might be different than you.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a straightforward answer for that, but I think being authentic and genuine is very important. And if you are keen to influence people to that level, it's also important to really be good in communication, because that's your first touch point with whoever that you're going to influence. To do communication better, it'll be great if you know who you're talking to. And then in the back of your mind, you can look at even being more tactical and more strategic about it. So I think there's a lot of soft skills element involved here. I mean, we call it soft skills today. Lah. Back then, for me, it was just common sense. You need to be genuine. You need to be authentic. You need to have a vision. You need to have a plan. Doesn't matter if it's not a full, massive plan, but some plan. Lastly, you need to have the heart to want to grow the people that believe in your cause, because those are your followers. And never under, I mean, this, I'm quoting someone here. I can't remember his name, but I think your first few followers in your crazy vision are the most important people to groom, and to provide support, because they're the ones that are going to go out there, to also continue your narrative. In this case, it would be continuing the narrative of Econites. So I think that was very, very basic. And I also treated everyone in the organization as a family. Like I was having a chat with you earlier on, grooming a leader in sustainability is not just about beefing that individual with knowledge awareness. You can always just get this off Google or YouTube and read about it and be an expert. But you must have that hardware, HEART. Even though you've got the best hardware and software around you, you must have that hardware. And that hardware comes from really being given a clear understanding of what this shared vision is. And I'm pretty sure, right? I'm not alone in this crazy vision on how for Econites. And I think because the values we instill are being felt, and subsequently shared with more communities, I think that's how we grow our work and we grow our reach, and work with communities better. But I haven't scientifically analyzed this, Harris. So if there's anyone who's doing a study, I welcome, because if you can
It's
understand
more anecdotal lah.
yeah, yeah. But if there is, you can interview 20 NGOs and find out what it is that makes us do what we do best. I much appreciate that.
So tak apa. This is one of the show the show punya ni to get all these people and ask for their motivation and all that. Ni Syariza. Syariza said go
Shaniza.
Yasmin.
Hello, boss. An old friend.
So yeah, that one is about the community. So the gist of it is like the cause needs to resonate with the people that you want to bring with you or who wants to follow you, right? Like even like for me when I my sustainable journey was like yeah when I want to do green furniture, but then the industry, it's something that has not been done in the industry. It's like I am seeing something wrong with the industry, but the industry is thriving, right? So nobody really care or like, why do you say we're doing something wrong? We are in the best in the world, right? So like, I also, for me, that's why I don't do anything at that time. I just see and then I just do it internally because I also want to try out the thing whether it works and all that. But after like few years, I'm seeing it benefited me. Then I decided to share a little bit. But at the same time, I don't. My personality is I don't like to be on the limelight, so I don't. But I used to lah. I don't. Even my Facebook, my Instagram, semua, I rarely post my personal stuff. So it's a big shift. At first I don't want to like lead this so-called movement or something, but then it's so like it's like because nobody is doing it, so I feel like oh someone needs to do it, and then like I have to point at myself lah. Then I like just do it lah. So until now dah what 9 years.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's just like that's the next question I want to ask in terms of wanting to be a leader for change, because a lot of people can complain, a lot of people are complaining, but no one is doing anything about it. And the difficult thing, talking is easy, doing is very difficult. Like in our case, we need to do our social cause, but at the same time we need to do our business, right? So it's very difficult. And how would you motivate these people, not these people, us in general, who there's a lot of things that we think can be better, but we are not doing that step or we are not leading it. So, what are your need to them? To why should they lead something?
I think secretly all of us have something inside us that we are passionate about or want to lead. Unfortunately, maybe for majority of us, we're maybe careful or just more vigilant, and want to be sure before jumping on a new adventure. I think being a risk taker, lah, I don't know, Harris, does that make sense? Taking risk is one step where you can test your leadership skills. Can do or cannot do. Am I built for this or not?
It's like a challenge to yourself, lah, in a way, right?
Ah, I have enough grit or not to layan this. I have enough bandwidth or not to go through with this particular stakeholder, or and sometimes, you know, I guess I don't know, it's a millennial challenge or what, but for me, if it doesn't work out, don't end the story there. Doesn't work out, grow relationships anyway. Don't ruin anything, because you'll be surprised how small the sustainability world is.
It's
And
very small.
your path will cross. The people who in the past didn't believe in it are now coming to you to get some guidance. The people who thought you were a crazy nut now realize that you have clarity in what you're doing. It's like tiba-tiba narrative dah tukar, eh? And people that were resisting us the most could be your most avid supporter today, or funder,
Correct, correct, correct,
or
correct, correct,
investor.
correct,
Betul tak?
correct, correct.
So I think it's
Mm.
important to just look at leadership as not a place to get to, like aku dah leader. Dah tak payah
Mm.
belajar dah. It doesn't work
Mm.
that way. It's a very fluid,
It's a
uh,
journey, right? Journey.
it's a journey. And you don't call yourself, I don't know, you don't call yourself a leader. People call you a leader when they've experienced you. So I think I would probably, yeah, I kind of shy away from a lot of leadership things, because it's like aku mengaku aku leader kan. It's like, no, leadership needs to be felt. Take this country for instance. What we need leadership to be felt at the highest level and at the lowest level. So that's how I view it. And then people observe. You have to walk the talk. Leader yang cakap ni, all these things, but then buat benda lain. That is the demise of your organization. That is the demise of your credibility. Whatever you've been building just goes just like that.
Like
So
whatever you talk doesn't tally with what you do, right?
yes,
Or,
and
or,
people,
or you talk, but you don't do.
yes. So people are smart. People can observe these things, kan. And if you want to do activism and advocacy, then don't be a hypocrite lah,
Correct,
kan.
correct, correct,
Walk the
correct, correct.
talk. Yeah.
It's very true. I think before I ni kejap ni Faisal Tanah Merah
Kita
kat
tanah merah.
Yo.
Tu pun lagi satu bos besar tu.
Last
Reza,
week was with him.
Faisal. Banyak I
Yang ni
belajar from them.
Charmin. So ni from FSC. So
Ah,
uh, so so yeah, I think the decision making is hard. It's very difficult. Even for us, we've been doing sustainability for quite some time, and we are, because it's going to be scrutinized. We know that because we are preaching, so we need to make sure that we are actually doing it. So like in terms of us, when we talk about sustainability, sustainable product, we don't just talk about material. We look into the glue that we use, the coating that we use, the packaging, the whole process. So because we one, we believe in it, and then two, we are not going to give people the space to critique you, because if you want to believe in something and you say something, how you do it, of course you cannot do everything, but you cannot just do one thing and then like greenwashing lah. So that's why like I feel like what we are experiencing right now, the green wave is coming, um, um, but a lot of people are seeing it as a trend, so it's here
yeah,
to stay. And like we need to create this awareness of greenwashing, because it's not fair for you to just change one thing but then other thing else is as bad as for the environment, right? Of course you cannot change all, but like what you say is a journey. Like for us, how we do it is investing in sustainability is very expensive, so we do it step by step. Which one is the lowest hanging first, which one is have cost benefit or the revenue benefit. So it is by stages, and people need to understand that. we need to move in a way that is slow, because if we do it all at one go, then it's going to be the cost implication that turns people off in terms of sustainability. So
Yep.
that is, I think, agreed by a lot as well, that it's a journey, and that is why, like, this kind of show where we connect to more interesting individuals, we talk about issues that is local. A lot of
Mm.
reference that we hear in the on research are mostly
Foreign.
Western, foreign,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like the Green Design Malaysia community and the Green Factor is for us to get knowledge building in terms of
Yes.
local ecosystem. So we
Yes.
so that if entrepreneurs see, oh, actually local people can do this and can benefit from doing this, so why cannot I? Normally you say,
Yes.
oh, that one European can lah, Malaysia cannot. So
Yeah, I
now,
think that
but
narrative pun kena tukar dah.
correct, correct. So, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts in terms of that? Like, how has it shift? Like when you went to, because you lagi lah from WWF punya background. So that time and like Econites, and then now, how what is different? The difference?
Meaning running an NGO now and before,
No, I
or
think the sustainability movement.
definitely more interest lah, Harith. More interest, and I think awareness pun probably at an all-time high now, and it probably will increase. And the narratives are reaching a younger audience. So you see and you hear and you feel more voices out there really putting a lot of pressure. And also sustainability is very inclusive now. Dia bukan environment je, it's like gender diversity, accessibility, education, all the SDG goals lah. So I think the key thing here is orang dah mungkin like faham lebih sekarang sustainability ni bukan alam sekitar sahaja. Banyak equality, employment, semua ni pun kalau alam sekitar selamat, society tak address social punya issues pun tak boleh juga. And then thirdly is governance lah. You see us being more vocal juga dengan sama dengan social media and all that. So it would be like giving us all the right opportunities to actually direct or voice out our grievances or concerns about sustainability. And I think there are more actions today compared to in the past. But I think in the past, the actions were probably more massive, like the anti-nuclear movement, anti-deforestation. And I rasa kebanyakan of the movement ni is also more Western originated. On our side, I think kita look at sustainability right now as a needs base. And I think in the Asian region we have gone through a lot already, from the haze to water scarcity to water pollution to all sorts of items. And this, because we are facing some of these climate events head on, we have to come to terms that this is gradually something we have to address. And I think it's hard these days to walk around and bump into a climate naysayer. Ataupun dia orang tak mengaku lah. Ataupun tak berani bersuara dah lah. In the past memang macam you will be challenged all the time. But now, I don't know, you can thank IPCC or UNDP or UN or Greta Thunberg, but that has made quite a lot of difference that people are now accepting it. It's scientifically validated. Now look at all the cities that are claiming or want to be low carbon and want to make it resilient, climate resilient, and all that. So I think that those are good wins. Of course, the challenge is how do humans operate now that you have a vision for a city and low carbon city by 2050 Kuala Lumpur. Okay, macam mana tu jalan cara, apa policy dia? What is it for designers? What is
Correct,
it for
that's correct.
entrepreneurs? And what is it for a person that lives down the road in a pusat perumahan rakyat? I think this is the real crux of the conversation, which I'm looking forward to work closer with entities like DBKL. We need to work with DBKL, all of us, to really drive a city that is more livable.
Correct, correct, correct.
Yeah.
So I think the way I see it now, the awareness is there. In general, people like you say, if you, especially the younger generation, most of them know that we need sustainability, and some of them, the urban, they obviously want sustainability. But the thing is now is there's two things. One is availability, meaning like if they want
Mm,
to buy something like a wallet, a green wallet, is it available? So if
mm.
not, then there is a demand, but there's no supply to it. And affordability, people always think like green products are more expensive, like
Yeah.
out of reach, and more for the elites, right?
Yeah.
So, but there are other ways to make products cheaper as well, or more competitive. Like for us, the products that we make from our waste, there's a, what is it, phone holder. So the phone holder is like the phone holder is made
Mm,
from our wood waste. So it's the cost of the material have already been absorbed by the main products. So we can make products at a cheaper product, because my idea is I want to have to, so more people can buy green products. So by transferring the savings of the material to the consumer, we get a lower price point, and the material is still good. Like I use bala wood, so bala is a very durable
well,
wood.
that was very good wood.
Ah,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that we can do in order to achieve um, this journey, especially for businesses, because right now there is a want, there is a demand, but no one is supplying. So that is why when we do like why I founded Green Design Malaysia is so that designer and business people can leverage on sustainability to cater to this market, because there is a need. Right now, I myself are seeing the needs mostly for corporates, but within these few years, it's going to trickle down to SME and to the public in general. So the wave is here, and that is why like shows like this is for us to get more understanding, so that more business people, more designers can can involve in the green market.
Yeah.
And I would like to touch a little bit what you said before. Like a lot of people asking me, why do I share about how I do my product and all that? I'm going to create competition for myself, right? But the way I see it is, eventually what's going to happen is everything is going to be sustainable. Because that is what's happening in the Western countries. Everything is sustainable. So sustainable is not something new anymore. That at least there. So we
Yeah.
need to work towards that. So my job is towards that. Once everything is sustainable, then we do other things. So my job for
Mhm.
sustainability is done here.
Yeah.
So, but it's not a job of one person, and we need a lot of heads. We need to have a lot of solutions. Right
Mhm.
now, I have the question that I always being asked is about mask. Like, what should we do with the mask? So because I work a lot with waste, like we work with plastic, with fabric, recycled fabric, and all that. But people ask me about masks, so I don't have an answer to how to solve that. But my answers are always like, these are the questions that need to be asked and have conversation with, because like if only one, you ask only one person, then you cannot get. But if 50% talking about it, at least two or three ideas might
Yeah.
will solve that problem, right? So
Yeah.
that's why communities, I see communities as a way for us to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And so Yasmin, thank you very much today for your time. We appreciate your sharing. Faisal cakap long time no see. Shariza cakap branding is important. So of course, these are all things that we need to consider. Like a lot of people think that social enterprise, people will support you because you are a social company, right? But people don't really care. If you need
Yeah.
to work as a business, your product needs to be good. You need to have marketing and all that. So
Yes. I
that is,
think
I
there's a
think,
famous quote, to do good for other people, you have to be doing well. So that means internally sort out your house first. Kalau tak ada model yang bagus, tak boleh even stay afloat, then how do you intend to advance all your other endeavors out there? So I think that's very fundamental. And I agree with you, Harry. The SMEs are the biggest game changers. That's close to 1 million SMEs and agak-agak lah kan, plus minus 100,000 here and there. And they are all in the supply chain. And people are already trying to figure out how to change the supply chain to pivot it towards sustainability. So it's not something new. I just hope the listeners now can even get further validation that in the future, people will only want to do business with companies that have clear, transparent sustainability or ESG guidelines. That's it. So you want to wait till last minute? Okay, tak ada hal. Or you want to make that change because we all know change doesn't happen overnight. So if you're a boss of a company or you're a manager, I think it's about time to really be involved in sustainability and understand first before you look at what you can apply to your business.
Amazing, amazing finish to the amazing last words.
Habis dah.
Huh? Our session dah finished. Maybe we can do another session on a different topic. So thank you
Thanks
very
for
much
having
for your
me.
time, and for everyone that is tuning in. Thank you very much for spending time with us. And if you feel like the content is valuable and can be beneficial to any of your friends or family, do share with them. And for them who wants to know more, you can join Green Design Malaysia Facebook community, or contact me directly or Yasmin directly, because we are always open to this kind of thing, especially sustainability related stuff. And see you next week for the tomorrow. Next week we have a special guest as well. Um, and nanti
That's
I
not all
will.
special lah, Harith. Cik.
So so thank you very much and have a green week ahead, guys. Bye bye.